everybody. Hello. I'm Darnell Cox. We've got a great show coming up with Natalie Jill, and we are going to be addressing getting rid of this fat in our midsection in midlife. So I'm going to let you guys start coming on. Just a little recap about who I am. I am a gerontologist and healthy aging coach, and I've got certification in holistic nutrition and health coaching. I'm a 500-hour yoga instructor, but really I'm a gerontologist. So I really help people expand that health span and look and feel their best at every age. But we've got a great guest coming on, Natalie Jill. So I'm gonna wait for her to come on, but everybody start coming on. Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday. I'm gonna be doing a lot of trying to help Natalie answer questions and stuff like that and present those questions. So I'm gonna let you guys start coming on. Natalie Jill, before she comes on, I just wanna let you guys, I'm gonna do a little, oh, hi, hello. Okay, let's see if I can add you here. Natalie, you might wanna request, but let me see if I can, there you are. We'll wait for Natalie to come on. Natalie is a midlife expert who's helping women redefine healthy aging.
Oh,
hi, Natalie.
How are you?
I'm really good. I'm just so grateful that you're here. I'm a big giant fan. You are doing amazing things for women. And so I'm so very happy that you're on this show. I'm going to tell everybody a little bit about you, and then I'm going to really get in there because we are talking about fat loss around the midsection and midlife.
Yes, can't wait. Let's do it.
Okay, so just let me tell you a little bit about Natalie. She's a midlife expert who helps women redefine healthy aging. She's a best-selling author of The 7-Day Jumpstart and Aging in Reverse, and the creator and host of Listen Up, Midlife Conversations with Natalie Jill. So welcome, Natalie.
Thank you. I can't wait to chat with you.
Okay. Belly fat. We're getting in there. Why does this happen? Let's start there.
Okay. Number one, I got to say it, and I know this is not what people are expecting because people want to go right into it's our hormones, it's our metabolism, it's our, we want to go into all that. The number one reason it starts to happen is because we accept it's happening. And then that's going to sound funny, but it's so true. I really have found that women, they somehow decided that because it's my age, because it's my hormones, because it's this, that this is going to happen to me. And the second we accept that as our reality, that becomes our reality. So I have to say that because it doesn't matter what diet you follow, all the tricks, I can teach you all the tips and tricks and all the things, but if you believe you're destined to have this big belly and genetically or your age or whatever, you're going to have that happen.
100%. It's mindset. And it's not only mindset, but it's how midlife women are portrayed in media, and that it's just something that naturally occurs. And it's not true. It's not true.
And it becomes this, I call it a false assumed truth. Like we think we hear something and then we believe that that's true. So that becomes our fact. But if you believe it's never going to happen to you, it doesn't actually happen to you. So that's the number one thing. Now your actions are going to align with that, what you eat, what you do. But it's just, I see it all the time. Most women that are struggling, they have this strong belief that it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. And then it's the, oh, poor me, this is happening. Then your mindset is a spiral down, and you're more likely to find yourself binge watching Netflix with a bag of Doritos.
That's exactly what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit of that mindset, but it is also that drop in the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone.
Yeah, so your hormones absolutely do change. So I don't want to dismiss that. Like it is not our fault in a lot of ways, but number one, you have to make a decision that like it is possible for me. The next thing, before we even get into hormones, because hormones is a whole big thing, but I'm going to give the pool example. If you were to walk by a really dirty body of water, picture like a really dirty body of water, and I throw another piece of trash in it, we do not know what created the yuckiness of the water. However, if I walk by a really clean pool, like really clear, beautiful body of water, and I throw one piece of trash in, I know exactly what created it to make it look ugly. The one piece of trash stands out. When we start messing with hormones and all these things before cleaning up our diet, we are we'll never know what actually changed things. It's like you're just muddying more things. So before we even venture into hormones, which I'm a huge fan of, I'm on bioidentical, I love them, I have no issue with that. But before we even venture into that, we have to look at what are we actually putting in that body? Like what are we eating? Are we eating natural, real, unprocessed, clean foods? That's first and foremost, because if you don't change your diet and you don't change your mindset and you just start adding in hormones, it's not going to fix anything.
Right.
You're just going to temporarily maybe feel a little better for a day, and then you think there's another problem.
So what is so you have a diet versus exercise, and one of the quotes that you say is abs are not made in the kitchen. So give me a little bit of like, how does diet play a role? How does exercise play a role? And
so I'm going to have you picture a triangle for a minute. I call it state, plate, and weight. State, plate, and weight. So state is your mindset. State is this belief that it's actually possible for me. So you and I are the same age. I think you're 51 like me, right? Are you 51?
I'm 55.
Oh, you're 55. Okay. Look, she does not look 55 at all. Like clearly, like
neither.
You look amazing. Okay. So you're breaking a belief set around what 55 is. Like right there, you are. So a lot of people have an idea 55 has to look a certain way. You have an idea it looks a different way. That's a belief set. That's number one with our body, your belief set, what's possible for you. If you stay stuck on this is not possible for me, that's ruining everything. Number two is your plate. That's what's going in your body. Now, what I teach is very simple, eating natural, real, unprocessed foods.
Yes.
And a lot of them, to be honest with you. I'm a huge fan of protein, having a lot of protein to make sure we have enough muscle. I'm also a huge fan of phytonutrients, so vegetables and fruits, low glycemic fruits. So I eat a lot of vegetables and fruits, and I believe that is part of the fountain of youth, is doing that. Yeah. It's what repairs us. It's what helps us. We need that. So a lot of these are super restrictive diets like carnivore. I'm not a fan of those because you're not getting in those nutrients. No. And then I put weight as another part of this. Weight is your resistance training, your movement. That's also very critical. I put them as a triangle. It's kind of like a tripod. If you're missing one of those things, it's not going to work. You have to have the mindset piece, the state, you have to have the nutrition piece, and you have to have the workout. All three work together. Now, everything else, supplements, hormones, that's all amazing. All the great stuff you teach on your Instagram, all these great biohacking things, all of it's amazing, but that fills in these cornerstones. I guarantee, I don't even know you that well yet, but I'm sure you do those three things.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
The rest of it's like gravy on top. That's great, but you couldn't just do the things that you do without those three things. No.
And I think a lot of people think like, to get abs, because we are talking about fat loss in the midsection, but, only because that's the typical place, when we hit midlife, that's where we accumulate that fat is in the midsection. And I believe a lot of that has to do with diet, because if you're consuming highly processed foods and you're consuming stuff that, is not whole foods, I mean, single ingredient foods. When we're talking about whole foods, it doesn't come in a box or a bag.
That's
unless
right.
It's like a grain, right?
Things you can once promote, like real food that you can pronounce. Like people, sometimes people make fun of like health gurus for saying that, but it's true. It's like the truth. I can pronounce everything I'm eating. If I read ingredients on something, I know what is exactly what's in there. Yes. Now, when it comes to belly fat specifically, there's different things that create that. So aside from the mindset, nutrition, and the workout, let me just get into logistics on that. Yeah. So when you talk about belly fat, there's a couple of different things that are going on. Either it's true fat, which is excess weight, and excess fat you have to get rid of from creating a deficit in calories. Now, everybody's body works different. Everybody's metabolism works different, but you have to create overall fat loss through your workout or your nutrition to make that difference. You cannot spot reduce, but by releasing that overall fat, that's what makes that difference. Now, the tweaks to, can I make my metabolism work faster? Can I have hormones help? All that can help, but it still comes down to calories. Like we have to burn calories to lose overall fat. The other things that could be going on with our belly is bloat. Now, bloat's a really easy thing to fix. Yeah. Now, bloat is caused by a number of things. Number one, hormone imbalances can absolutely cause bloat. Number one, your hormones are out of whack, that could cause bloat. Mm-hmm. The second thing that can cause bloat is intolerances and allergies. A lot of people, especially as we age, we're more sensitive to wheat, to dairy, to grains. All of those things can create bloat. Artificial sweeteners create bloat in our body. So that's another thing we need to watch. That can do that. Gut health issues, leaky gut.
And just because we're like for gluten and things like that, and dairy is one of the most underdiagnosed food sensitivities out there. I don't understand why we are, besides the dairy industry promoting it, why are we still drinking the milk made for a baby cow, a calf? It makes
I'm not a fan of it at all. And people get really worked up when I bring up dairy. So I'm going to tell you, if you're one of those listening and you're like, I don't want to hear this about the dairy, then I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say, then have raw dairy. Because raw dairy does not break down the enzymes. See, when you eat a whole food in its raw natural state, you have the enzymes intact.
Right.
When you cook a food or you process it or you pasteurize it, you are breaking down enzymes. The reason I recommend taking digestive enzymes with food is to help replace back what we're missing from the whole food. So with dairy, one reason we have lactose intolerances and issues with that is because we're having this pasteurized, it's not raw dairy, and we're creating that. So if you're going to have it, have the raw. I am also not a fan of dairy for the same reasons you said, but I understand it's a touchy subject for people. So if you've got to do it, do the raw dairy.
Well, here's the thing, you guys, the food that we are consuming in 2023 is not the same food that our parents were consuming and our grandparents certainly not consuming. The food has changed. We have this dwarf wheat now, right? So wheat and things like bread, the way that it reacts to your stomach and your whole system, it's not much better than like white table sugar.
No.
So we have to like consider that. And in addition, with that bloat, even though you might not be diagnosed with celiac disease, which is where you have a gluten
and I actually am a celiac. I don't know if you knew that about me. I'm actually a celiac.
I did not know that. But there's so many wheat sensitivities that might not qualify as having celiac disease, but it will cause that bloat.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So looking at diet is going to absolutely change bloat, but I will say as we age, things show up more that maybe we didn't notice when we were younger. So like gut health issues. For instance, you could have leaky gut and not know it for years and years and years. And then as you get older, it's like things are wearing and tearing. You're going to notice that more and that's going to create that. So addressing that leaky gut. Now, a lot of times with hormones, we think it's just hormone replacement. It could be as simple as something in your gut. For instance, I know for me, I just went through a whole gut situation and I was, even though I am perimenopause and definitely losing estrogen, I was estrogen dominant and I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, okay, I'm taking bioidenticals because I'm lacking estrogen, but why am I estrogen dominant? Like it's not making sense. And it honestly boiled down to my gut health and what was going on in there. So what is happening in your gut health can change how you're actually processing hormones too. So I also think it's an incomplete picture just fixing hormones without looking at all those things too.
Yeah, we're not, I mean, the human body is fascinating.
It is.
And super complicated. And it's never going to be one thing or another. You can't just go and start doing sit-ups. And you also can't just reduce what you're eating. It's a combination. And sometimes when you build the muscles, you can spend hours and hours in the gym. Right. But it's like searching, it's like an anthropologist who's like searching for the dinosaur bones in the middle of like all the dirt. That we have these layer of fat and the muscle might be underneath there, but
that's exactly right. Right. That's why I say everybody always has abs. They just might be hiding under a layer, which is like, we all have them. It's just, it might be under a layer. So the number one thing is you have to decide that you're going to get them and you want to have a flat belly. Like that's number one, make that decision. Like that's happening. 2, then you've got to take a hard look at your diet. Be truthful. Am I eating an unprocessed natural food diet? And am I eating enough or too much or not? Like we have to look at portions too. Like just because it's healthy doesn't mean it's unlimited. Also, like I'm very careful about what I'm eating and how much of it. Yeah. So being aware of that too. And when you do it right, you actually shouldn't be hungry or have cravings. When you balance your foods correctly, and I teach a method of protein, carbs, and fats. When you do that correctly, you're not hungry because you're balancing things the right way. When your gut health is healthy, you're not craving sugar. That's another big thing. Like a lot of women crave all this sugar. Like there's an imbalance going on that's making you crave that. Like when you have bad bacteria or parasites or something going on in your gut, you're going to crave sugar. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. And sugar is a huge speeds up aging on people. Huge. It feeds cancer cells. Just think about that. That's how bad sugar really is for you. If it's something that cancer cells crave and will feed, think about what that's doing to your whole body, right? And I understand for women, it is like one of the worst things to give up. So like, but my cravings. But what I'm suggesting is when you start cleaning up the other things, the cravings should go away. Cravings are not normal. No. Like when you are craving something, there's something going on in your body that's wanting that and taking over and wanting that. So you've got to address that. And also something, Natalie, that I think that people don't really focus on is the mental aspect of the craving as well. Because I do have a graduate degree in psychology as well as gerontology. So the mindset is super important to me. And I think that a lot of times we give ourselves permission for bad behavior, right? I had a bad day at work. Oh, I'm fighting with my spouse. My kids are like, whatever it is, I deserve this. I deserve this glass of wine. I deserve this thing. I'm like,
I deserve, like, I can't, I need this because
Right.
of this traumatic thing or this bad thing that happened. If you had to go home and eat a raw stick of celery every time you had a bad day at work, and you had to keep eating celery plain, no peanut butter, until your bad day got better, your bad day would get a little bit better a lot faster.
That's funny. I've not ever heard of it that way, but that's true.
So sometimes our cravings, we're giving ourselves permission, right? We just cave into them, and we
but
give
I want to say that I understand the willpower thing. Like, don't beat yourself up that, like, I don't have willpower. There's something else going on, and it's about getting to the root of that, because it's hard to have willpower. I get that. So I'm not rattling this off like, oh, just like, you have to just make yourself not. I understand, but it is getting very curious and digging and going, okay, what is creating this?
what else is going on?
What else is going on in creating this? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And by the way, you guys, next Saturday at 11, I'm doing a whole show on how to curb your cravings. So where does that come from? Yeah, it just kind of, I had a lot of questions from my subscribers in the Live Young Club.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were about, how do I curb my cravings? And so I'm going to do a whole live show next Saturday at 11. So, okay. So now that we have this mental piece, we have the piece about what we're putting into our bodies and what that sensitivity could be. We've got the piece about, yes, it could be hormones. Yes, there's sugar cravings. Yes, there's, you know, we have to get back into eating single ingredient foods.
Yes.
Now let's talk about, how do you build the abs in the gym?
Yeah, I love it. Okay. So here's the thing about workouts. People sometimes think when they see that I have abs, they're like, what, are you doing like 2 hours of cardio a day? Like, what's happening? Like, no, I'm not at all. What I am, here's my thing. Like, right now I'm standing up at my desk talking to you. Like, I stand and move a lot. I'm rarely sitting. Right before this, I just taught a master class. I was sitting for 2 hours and I felt it on my body. I'm like, I have to stand up. So I'm very active as far as, like, I'm aware of not sitting and moving constantly. Also, as I'm standing, I'm actually engaging my core. I'm really conscious and aware of that. And all of you could do this right now, where if you're not driving, like, literally stand up and squeeze your glutes, and then squeeze your ribs down to you're almost like a crunch mode. So squeeze your glutes first and then squeeze your ribs down so you can actually feel abs there. If you just standing like that is engaging your core. Yeah. Like, literally just doing that will change your core. As far as exercises, I make sure I'm moving every day. And then my number one exercise for abs, and some of you are going to roll your eyes at this, but it works. And it is literally the number one exercise we should all be doing, is planks. Planks are amazing. Like, planks are for your whole body. But if you were to just focus on doing a plank every day, like, you will totally change your core. It's everything.
Do you do like a 2-minute plank, or what is do you do the shift?
Yeah, so I don't
back
have like a timing thing. I'm just very aware that when I'm standing and moving, I'm engaging my core. I'm also very aware of, like, when I work out, any exercise I'm doing, I'm using my core, and I am doing planks a lot. I like sit-ups, I like all that stuff, but it's not what I think has defined it. You get those muscles strong underneath, and then you focus on those other things about, how do I release overall fat? How do I manage bloat? And you're going to see that. The one thing we cannot change on our body without a surgery is skin, loose skin. So I want to be really transparent about that. When you have excess loose skin, you can change the appearance by developing muscle and losing fat, but we cannot fix loose skin. It's not true to say that you can fix loose skin through exercise. That is not true. Now, I gained a lot of weight when I was pregnant with my daughter years ago. I have that skin. I have not had any stomach surgery. I've had lots of other surgery, believe me, but I've not had my stomach done. So I have that skin if I squeeze it together. The reason you don't see it as much is because I do have fine developed abs and I am low body fat. So that's why it shows up a lot more.
Well, it's not only that, you want to say, like, you could do some very small things to change the appearance and to kind of work with that skin, because I do microneedle my stomach. I've had Morpheus 8. But if you are a thin person, and when you have a baby, I don't know if this is the same for you, Natalie, but it's above the belly button. Yeah. That's where the loose, crepey skin is. And it's not, you're not a contestant or somebody who is going to be able to benefit even from, like, a tummy tuck. That's right. It doesn't work like that. And so far now, if you're a 20-year-old and you haven't had a baby and you're on here, maybe they'll invent something by the time that you get to be our age.
But even like some of the stuff you teach, like, I'm so fascinated by watching your stuff, but even what you teach, you would want to couple that on losing overall fat first, because you don't want to come in, you've got an extra 100 pounds and you're trying to do that. That's not going to work. That's not
100%.
realistic.
And then also people will, some of my clients will say like, I have this crepey skin here. I've got crepey skin here.
Yeah.
And my number one thing is muscle mass.
Yes. Oh, you
build up the muscle mass.
That's so true. Muscle mass helps us defy gravity. And also the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn at rest, the faster your metabolism works. Like muscle is the fountain of youth in so many ways.
100%. We
have to add muscle. When we stop focusing on muscle, we do become fat, like overweight. We do get that excess fat. People say that they're getting fatter with age or their metabolism is slowing down. That's actually not the truth. What's true is we're losing muscle. So we appear that way.
And we start losing muscle, because you guys, we start losing muscle in our 30s.
That's
like
right.
Literally, just like we start losing bone density,
Yeah.
we start losing collagen, we start losing muscle in our 30s. So if you're in your 30s and you're not lifting weight, you're doing your body a disservice.
That's right.
Right? So
yeah,
you want to lift weights. And what happens when you don't, when you start losing the muscle mass, again, with the fluctuation of hormones, again, with the food, with your choices of food, sarcopenia happens, which is when the fat actually infiltrates the muscle.
Yes.
And when it gets in that muscle, it's really difficult to lose weight after that. Right. So the trick to that is not through diet, but like you gotta blast those, you gotta contract those muscle fibers.
Yes, no, it's absolutely true. That is absolutely critical and key. So, and women are so scared sometimes of the weights. And I used to think it's because they were scared of getting big and bulky, which you all know that's not true. Like it's bodybuilders have to work at being bodybuilders. Like that's not going to just accidentally happen to you.
Yeah.
But what I realize is most women, because I deal with midlife women, is they deal with pain. So they're scared of the weights because of pain. So what I want to tell you with that is it's not about lifting heavy weights. It's about creating resistance for you. So what changes our body and what grows muscle is progression and intensity. So progressing. So like if you're doing the same 3 pounds of, 5 pounds, 3 sets of 12, and you're not feeling it, that's not progression. So you want to go heavier for you, create resistance for you, but it doesn't mean you're going to go lift crazy heavy. I also don't want you to be not functional. So you do things that feel good on your body, not that are hurting your body. Like you shouldn't go just try to deadlift to build glutes if it's hurting your back. Like clearly that's not, but you could do a body weight something with your glutes and really concentrate on that resistance, which will change your muscle there. Yeah. So the reason I think people are not doing weights is they're scared of pain, but there's ways to work around and not get pain.
Interesting. So, okay. So one of the things that I do, I just went, because I was reading some of your stuff and you do like the planks and the flutter kicks and the plank downs, where you're going down like this on your elbows. Yeah. So that seems to be like very much in your top 5 of what you would consider to be like the best things. And I do all of those as well. But the things that I found, like, people always say, or a lot of people say, I just can't fit it in. Like, how do you do this?
Yeah, I love that. Okay. So first of all, I call baloney on that thing, because if you were to go just work on a plank every day for 2 minutes, you would change your body. Like literally in 2 minutes. So if you think you need all this time to work out, you could do squats for 2 minutes. You could work on a pull-up towards a pull-up for 2 minutes. Like 2 minutes a day, literally with the right things would change your body. Yeah. So that is so baloney when people think they don't have time. You are not thinking outside the box here. You don't need a lot of time. Yeah, I've never spent 2 hours at the gym unless I'm totally just hanging out with friends and talking.
Totally.
Like there's no way, even like the most athletic people I know don't go hardcore for 2 hours. You can't.
Yeah, you can't. But another thing that I've learned that over the years of all of this is when you can't get to the gym, and if you think I don't have time for that, if you associate certain exercises with ordinary things that you do, like if you're doing donkey kicks as you're balancing on one foot and brushing your teeth, you are working your core and your ass at the same time, right? If you're waiting for something to heat up in the microwave and you've put it in the microwave for 2 minutes, that gives you 2 minute opportunity, to do push-ups against the counter. Like if you associate everyday activities with some sort of movement and some sort of muscle, you will fit it in and your body will change.
But also don't use the microwave.
Well, that's yes. Okay.
But do that while you're deciding not to use your microwave.
While you're heating up your stuff on the stove. Yes. Okay. So you do talk about I want to talk about your Jumpstart program.
Yeah, of course.
Because
Yeah.
You have people that lose like 7 pounds in 5
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. So my
Water.
7-day jumpstart was my original transformation program. And it's honestly like, I have so many different programs, but my 7-day jumpstart was my original ebook that I started. It's now a best-selling book in stores.
Yeah.
On how to lose weight. And what I'm teaching is literally what I'm talking about here. It's like following a plan to lose fat in 7 days. Like how do you do it? And the reason people lose that much week one is not because they're losing fat week one. I mean, you do lose fat, but most people are so inflamed and not healthy that you're going to lose a lot of inflammation, excess bloat, and water week one too. So that's why it jumpstarts you, because that excess bloat and water is not healthy for you either. So when people are like, oh, how you can't lose more weight in a week? Yes, you can if you're toxic like that. You're going to lose that. And then what's actually healthy is about 2 pounds of fat per week after that. So that plan was based on that. I have other programs that are like way more elaborate, like my Total Body Thrive and even my Your Next Chapter that I'm launching right now. But that stuff basically takes you to the next level with the whole formula of that, because 7-day jumpstart is amazing, but it's just a plan. It's a plan you follow. And I believe there's more to than just following a plan.
So what's the next step after that? After you, like, let's say you're new to this and you're it's summertime and people are like, I want to lose this weight for summer. And my thought is always like, what about for life?
Yes.
What about just for life?
That is the next step. Nothing should just be for 7 days. It should be for a lifestyle. You can become an entirely different person by changing your thoughts, actions, and habits. And this is an example of that. Like, you cannot be a new version of yourself that's lean and thin and thriving in your 50s or whatever it is that your goal is, if you stay the old committed person to yourself. Like, if you stay that committed person of, I can't lose weight, I'm genetically this, it doesn't work for me, I can't afford, like, all those stories are not serving you. So to be a newer version of yourself, you have to almost change that whole belief set. So, like, for instance, I mean, I watch on your posts and on my posts sometimes, like, people will say these weird negative comments, and I'm like, it's so obvious to me what belief set they're in. Because as soon as they say, like, oh, well, they blame, like, well, you did this because of that, or that, they're not willing to look at themselves as becoming a new identity. They're just going to blame that they're in victim mentality, and that works for other people, not me. So that first step is to realize, how am I dismissing? And I'll tell you the story. This is when I used to train clients live real time. I had this woman once come to me and she said, I really want to lose weight. I have all these goals. And I said, describe to me what you want. And she said, I want to be really thin. And she did like the little hourglass thing. I want to have a cute little butt and be really tiny waist. And I want to walk in the gym in cute workout outfits. And she was describing how this would feel, what it would look like. Well, a week later, I'm training her, and this woman, this super cute woman, is in there working out, looks exactly like she had just described. And she looks at me and she rolls her eyes and goes, that is so fake. That's what she said. And I noticed that, and I said to my client, I said, that's so interesting that you just said that, because you just last week described to me what you wanted for yourself. Yeah. But here there's somebody that is representing that. And instead of you saying, what is she doing? How can I learn from her? You rolled your eyes and dismissed her and said it's fake. You're never going to have that in your life now. Exactly. So this is when I talk about mindset, that's an important part. You have to become a different version of yourself and be okay with that if you want that. Yeah, I have people following me, which I think that you do as well. People following me specifically to criticize. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I laughed at somebody was saying something to you, and I was getting to your defense before I knew you. I was like, I think I showed you, I was like fighting them back, because you're like, I've always said that. Or they'll say, well, you still look like you're in your 50s. You're like, well, I am in my 50s. Like, it's like they just want to tear down. But just notice, when you're the kind of person that's tearing down or doing that, I don't even have to know anything about you. I already know that you're having a hard time. Yeah. You are, because I think I try to respond to that negativity with just light and love, because somebody that does that is in a really bad. They're in a bad, and it is sad, but I want them to really look at that for themselves, because they're never going to achieve what they want when they're tearing down what's right in front of them. Like, they just, like, to me, I don't care personally if someone wants to look amazing or they want to let themselves go. Like, that's what, I don't care. Like, I don't, do what you want with yourself. Like, but just notice, if you want something else for yourself, are you attacking it when you see it, or are you asking questions and being inquisitive and learning from them? Yeah. 100%. 100%. Okay, so tell me a little bit what's coming up for you, because we're very efficient in this. Yeah, like, I can tell you are like a badass motivational speaker, because we're just like getting so much done. But you're working on something new, which kind of brings us in there with this
now that if we've got people that are, looking, trying to figure out what to do, how do you get from that spot of like sedentary to like motivational and actually following through and doing that? And I don't mean just with the flat abs.
Totally, with anything.
Loss, but
yeah, so I'm actually, so people come to me for fat loss, but I'm actually a master at goal achievement. Like that's really what I do. Because women come to me for body because that's usually the first thing in their way. Like they don't like how they feel. They don't like how they look. They want to change that. But what I notice is that what I break them through with that is not just nutrition and workouts. It's really goal achievement. It's like being able to see for yourself, you can have something else and you can go after it. So I really do teach goal achievement. I happen to this week, and if anyone's interested, you can just send me a direct message after, and my team or I will reply with that. I do have a coaching program that starts actually Monday, 8 weeks. I call it Your Next Chapters, where I walk women through this whole process to make that happen. So, and it's coupled with my fat loss program, my Total Body Thrive. So all of that is coupled together in that. If you send me a DM, me or my team will respond to you with that. But because I really do believe, like, you can go get my book in stores, you can Google me, you can get everything I teach online for free, to be quite honest with you. But I know women, and I know you, I know most people listening, we don't do it on our own. So you can go, my stuff's free, go get it. But I know that you probably won't do it on your own. So I do these coaching programs to hold you accountable to that.
Same. I do a lot of, I'm a gerontologist and healthy aging coach, and there's a lot of education behind that with a graduate degree in psychology, but I bring people into my channel with skin.
Yes.
Because that's what they see.
Yes.
And then I bring them in with the skincare, and then I help them live longer.
I know, and I have all kinds of questions. I'm gonna have to interview you a whole bunch of questions about skincare because you just crushed that.
Oh.
I have so many questions. I need to buy like all the things that you sell. Everyone go buy everything she has on her page, because seriously, like, I'm obsessed with your videos. You're so knowledgeable when it comes to that.
Oh, that's so sweet. But I'm kind of trying to step away from all the affiliate marketing stuff because, before
you do, go buy the stuff on her page.
But I do like say, here's what the modality is, and here's the best on the market with microcurrent.
Yeah, because you have the red lights and all. You seem to know. You've done all the research for us on all of that.
Yeah, because I feel that. Well, I don't feel. Skin is our largest organ, and it's our outward-facing organ. It's the organ that we, just like our weight, we present that to the world. So there's a lot of self-esteem that is tied to our weight and our skin, right? Yeah. So if we address that from the outside, but also from the inside, and I feel that you do the same thing. Yeah. I love that.
I can stand to learn more about the skin, but I do believe that the way I eat and hydrate and also has totally helped me so much with that over the years.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to scroll and see. I don't know how much time you have, but I'm going to scroll and see if there was any questions. Yeah. So tell people while I'm scrolling, how can they find you? What do you have going up? How do they enter your program?
Yeah. You can, if you just message me, I'm here on Natalie Jill Fit on my Instagram. I will see those messages, or my team will see it, and we can definitely let you know all of that to make sure you have information there.
I think most of the questions we've already answered. Yeah, I'm just scrolling. There's just most of the questions we've already answered. So, wow, this has been like
I love it.
Just jam-packed and so informational. And I'm like I'm digesting stuff as we're going. So they can just DM me.
Just DM me. It's easier than sending you to a link. That way I can understand a little bit more about you and what it is that you're. Is there a certain word that you want them to message you, so that if you have an automated system there? I do, but then I'll have a bot talking to you. Just send me a message that you were on here on the live, and I'll know. It's so funny. I think it was you and I that were talking, and my bot kept talking back to you. Like you're like, let's talk about goals, and it sends you my goal guide. Yes, I have a lot of automations set up. Those are my robots. The robots are helpful. But you know what's so funny about those? I don't know if you use those at all, the direct automation.
I do.
It's so funny. Some people are so funny. They're like, they see they start like arguing with my robot. And I'm like, it's a robot. It's an automated message. I have a lot of people on my page. So sometimes if I'm giving a free guide or something, I'll say, send me this keyword or whatever. And it's automated. I have to do it that way or I'll never have a life. But people are so funny. They'll like argue with the robot. Like, and
that's one of the reasons why I set up like the Instagram club, because there's no way that you'd be able to answer all of the questions
exactly
in a DM. You wouldn't have enough time. And So anyways, I think the automation is great, but if you guys can just DM her and just say that you were on this live, that would be great. And I want to have you back on.
I would love to be back on.
Yeah, once you get your masterclass going, which starts on Monday, right?
Yes, my course starts your next chapter starts Monday. I just finished a class right before this live with you. That's why my voice is raspy. For 2 hours about that. So we've got a lot of new members joining for your next chapter for 8 weeks of coaching with me, which is super fun. So
that's awesome. If you guys are interested in Natalie Jill's your next chapter, that masterclass, I highly encourage you, because that's going to help you. If you're here because you're wanting to decrease your fat around your midsection and your midlife, this is a way to do that, because it has to do with motivation.
Absolutely.
And goal setting.
It's all the things: nutrition, workouts, motivation, but more, it's my method. I have a method for achieving goals. That is what I share with that.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
We will be in touch, and I'm going to be on your podcast as well, so coming up soon. And it's just been a pleasure and so much information. I'm going to post this to the main feed afterwards, you guys, so you can replay and reach out to Natalie. Thank you, and have a great rest of your Saturday.
Thank you.
Bye. 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 Thank you.